Hi everyone, in this video we are going to have a quick look at shapes of molecules. So in a previous video we looked at the formation of molecules, and just a quick reminder, a molecule is a group of atoms held together by covalent bonds. So usually we're going to be talking about just non-metal atoms being involved in these. It's quite rare for a metal to be involved, but the idea here is that what we've got is a group of atoms joined together in a molecule. So the first thing that we have to be able to do is, from a picture of a molecule, like the one shown on your screen, you need to know the names that we would give to the shapes shown. So the first shape that we would look at is linear. Okay, linear, like the word line, implies the idea of straight. Okay, the vast majority of the ones that we see at National 5 that are linear are just going to contain two atoms. So it'll be one joined to the other, obviously in a straight line. There is quite a rare example of three atoms joined together, which is linear, but for reasons that we'll look at in a slide or two, these wouldn't be ones that you would predict. You would just have to be able to name it if you were shown the shape, like a diagram like this. The next shape is angular. Now, angular is where you have three atoms joined together, but they are not in a straight line. This atom in the middle here has a little angle coming down to the other two. The next is pyramidal or trigonal pyramidal, to give it its full name. That's where you have one atom in the middle which is joined to three other atoms, each coming down the way at a slight angle, creating this sort of pyramid shape. The last shape is tetrahedral, which is a bit of a mouthful, but tetrahedral means literally four-faced, and the idea is that you have one atom in the middle with four things joined around it. Okay, each of those four things joined around the center atom are as far away from each other as they can possibly get. So this is a really important shape in chemistry, and it shows how five atoms would join together to make a molecule. But it's not just as straightforward as looking at a picture and knowing what it's called. The other skill that we have to have for chemistry is the ability to work out or predict what shape a molecule is likely to form. And the simplest way to do that is by simply knowing how many atoms are in the molecule. So from a chemical formula like H2O or CO2 or those kind of things, as soon as you know how many atoms there are, we can start to make predictions about the shape. Now, we're not saying that this is exactly the shape that it will 100% have based on its formula. It's simply a prediction. It will be right most of the time, but as we've said previously, with the three atom examples, we do actually have two different shapes. If we are making predictions for three atoms, we would always predict angular, because it's far more common to be an angular shape than for it to be a linear shape. So where we have two atoms, we're going to be predicting a linear shape. Three atoms would predict angular. Four atoms we would predict trigonal pyramidal. And if we had five atoms in our formula, we would predict tetrahedral. So here on the screen you can see the table of chemicals, and we need to be able to work through in a methodical fashion to be able to come up with the chemical formula, then the chemical number of atoms in the chemical, and finally the shape and chemical structure. So for hydrogen chloride, we would either be told or we would be able to work out that the formula is HCl, water is H2O, ammonia is NH3, and methane is CH4. So what we need to be able to do now is really simply to be able to count the number of atoms present in each of these molecules. So with HCl, you can see that there's one H and one Cl. That gives you a total of 2. For water, there's 2 H's and an O. That's 3. 1 N and 3 H's in ammonia makes a total of 4. And methane is 1 C with 4 H's. That's a total of 5. And based on the previous slide, we can then make predictions about the shape that that molecule is going to have. Hydrogen chloride is going to be linear in shape with only 2 atoms. Because it's linear, we would simply have a H joined in a straight line to a Cl. For H2O with 3 atoms, we would predict an angular shape. The angular shape has one O with 2 H's, and therefore we end up with the shape shown on the screen. For ammonia, we have trigonal pyramidal with 4 atoms. Now, trigonal pyramidal is absolutely fine to be referred to as just pyramidal at this stage in chemistry, but as you go further through the subject, you'll learn that there are actually other shapes of molecules, some of which are also pyramidal in shape but are not trigonal or triangular, this 3 idea, and so we need to give it its full name, which is trigonal pyramidal. How do we draw that? Well, we have our 1N at the kind of top, we have a H coming down, another H coming down, and another H coming down to give that triangular shape. The last shape that we have is our methane. Methane has 5 atoms, and so its shape will be tetrahedral. With a tetrahedral shape, we have 1 carbon in the middle, 1 hydrogen up, and then the rest of the hydrogens form basically the same shape as what we see in our trigonal pyramidal shape. Okay, and that's how we would fill in that table, how we would kind of predict the shape of a molecule. We would first need to know its chemical formula, which we would either be told or we would be able to work out using skills learned elsewhere in the course. So, a quick recap of what we need to know regarding molecular shape. There are 4 shapes of molecules that we're going to cover in this course. Based on nothing but a picture of them, you need to be able to name those shapes. You also then need to be able to predict the shape of a molecule based on the number of atoms in that molecule from a chemical formula or from a picture. Okay, I hope you found that video useful. If you have any questions at all, obviously feel free to reach out to your chemistry teacher, but that is kind of an overview of shapes of molecules in National 5 Chemistry. Okay, I hope you have a great day.